Hey everyone. So I just wanted to make a quick video and show you guys how to connect a MySQL database with PHP and an HTML form. I had a lot of trouble finding videos on exactly how to do this, and I just had to kind of piece different videos together. So I've got mine working. I just wanted to share it with you guys and just show you a basic form and how to throw it into a database. So in this video, I'm going to cover how to connect to the database, how to create the simple form, and how to throw that information from the form into the database. So let me know what you guys think. So first, this is PHP MyAdmin on my localhost. If you guys don't know how to do that, I would highly recommend you just Google and YouTube how to do that. Not going to go through it in this video. So first you'll see my database that I've set up. It's called YouTube. I've created a table called members, and I've given that table 5 columns. So ID, which is an auto increment, first name, last name, state, and email. Now, this is going to be very important how I spell these. So just keep in mind underscores, capitals, all that good stuff. So let's jump into the code real quick. You'll see here that this is just a basic form. If you're not familiar with HTML, which if you're watching this video, I hope you are. If not, definitely go and check out how to make a form. So the first thing is you will notice the method is post. This always has to be post if we're going to be inserting data into the database. Then the action, you're going to want to tell the post where to post that information. So in this case, we're posting it to the page called connect.php. I have an option for first name, and you'll notice the name for that is fname. Then I have last name, and then you'll notice the name for that is lname. And then I go on for state, and I actually list out all my different states. That's just done through a simple select tag. And then email address, and the name of that is email. So here I have my submit button, and the value for that is submit. So if we go to that page, this is just what it looks like. So I got first name, last name, state in the drop down menu, and then the email address, and then my submit button. So before we submit one, let's go look at that code and see how we connect to the database. So here we have our connect.php page, and first things first, of course, always open it with your PHP tag. And here I have some variables. I have a variable always started out with the money symbol and then the variable name. So here I have server name, which is localhost, DB username, always going to be defaulted to root if you're using your localhost, DB password, which is blank by default, and then DB name, which is YouTube. If you remember, that is the database that we created. Now here's where you start to get your information from the form. So I made a variable and I named it fname. I've set that variable equal to post. If you remember correctly, back on the HTML form, this had a method of post, and we sent that post information to our connect.php page. So on the connect.php page, we're declaring this variable and we're grabbing the post. Now we have to declare what information we're grabbing from the post. You see the fname here is also the name of this for first name. So it's grabbing whatever value is entered into fname and storing it into this variable. Now I've done the same for my last name, my state, and my email. This is very important. when you're working with post, you have to capture the same name on the post form that you want to be able to throw into the database. So F name, L name, state, and so on. So now that we have those stored in here, we can go down and we can create our connection. So I made another variable, and I always use con because it's short for connection and it's just easy. So you have to do new MySQL I. This is very, very important. You can no longer use MySQL with PHP. It has to be MySQL I. What this is basically telling us is we're saying, hey, we're going to create a new connection, and it's going to be a new MySQL I connection. Then you're going to open up your brackets, and it's going to be required for all of your information. So we're basically saying for this connection, it's going to be a new MySQL I connection. And then you have to list out your server name, your database username, your password, and what database you're going to use. Now you'll notice these are variables. I'm not actually saying, root, here's the password, here's the database, because we have those stored up here. So server name is equal to localhost. Here's the server name variable, so it's going to be localhost. I did the same for username, password, and database name. Variables are always the best way to work with because you can use them on any other page, and you won't have to go to 6 and 7 pages if you have that many to update all the information. So here we're going to check the connection, and we're saying if our connection variable is an error, then we're going to say die. Here's the message we're going to say: connection failed. And in PHP, the period is the and statement, so we're concatenating our string text of connection failed with our connection up top and the connection error. So it's going to say connection failed, then it's going to give us the server information error. Now, you don't have to do this. This is something that I added because this is actually part of a working form that I have on one of my sites. But you see if statement, and then you see empty. So empty is a PHP tag that I would use on a normal basis on a form. And I would say if this is empty, and I'm saying F name, and if you remember, F name is relative to the first name on the form. So I'm saying if this is empty, then we're going to echo out this message, and we're going to say first name can't be blank. Please press back and correct the issue. And then we're going to have it die. So it's going to stop all of my SQL information up to this point and just closes the database down. So then they can go back, correct it, and resubmit the form. I've done this for last name, state, and email. I just changed, obviously the names and told them what was wrong. Now, once they enter in all their information, all of this is going to be false. So it's going to go down and start to run the SQL query. Here's where it's very important to get right. You're going to do a variable called SQL, or however you want to name it. And I'm going to say equals, then I'm going to open my quotes, and here's where we're going to say insert into the table that I'm inserting it into. So if you remember up top, we already said we're using the database of YouTube. Now we're saying insert it into members, which is here. And now we open our brackets and we say, here's the information for the columns, which is first name, last name, state, email. Here's where spelling is very, very important, because these column names have to be exactly the same as your database that you created. If they're not, you're going to get an error and it's going to drive you crazy until you finally realize that you spelled something wrong. So after we do that, we'll close it off, and then we'll say values. Now here's where we're going to say what we're going to enter into these fields. So you'll notice you have to open up your bracket here, then you have to do the apostrophe. Now I'm just naming my variable, which is fname. If you remember up top, we said fname was equal to the posted information for the value of fname that was on the form. We named fname for first name. So first name was named fname. So we're storing the first name in this variable. So now we're saying the value is fname. So that's going to be whatever the user typed for the first name. We're going to put our other apostrophe, then we're going to say comma. Now we're going to do the exact same thing for last name, state, email. We're going to close it off, end our quote, put our closing statement there. That is the whole SQL injection for inserting it into the database. Now if you have more fields or less fields, obviously you can modify it down or out as much as you want, but that is how you would connect to the database and input the information. Now to go a little bit further, what I've done is I'm saying if our connection details and the query of SQL, which is this, remember, equals true. So that's if everything above here is true and this gets entered in without any errors, we're going to echo out this statement. Thank you, your information has been entered into the database. You may close this window. And we're going to close it out. If there is an error, we're going to say else. Then we're going to throw back the error. Here's the SQL query. And we're going to do the error. So if there's an error, it's going to tell us, hey, we got an error on your first name or your last name. Whatever the error is, we'll know it. But regardless, after everything happens, we're going to break out of the code and we're going to say all of our connection, close. So that's going to close our connection. We're going to end it. And then we're done with our PHP tag. So again, I've already got all the code written out. I didn't make you guys wait through it. Just go ahead and copy anything down that you need. Hit me up with any questions and I'll get back to you. But let's take a look and make sure everything's working on here. So if we just enter in information here, we hit submit. There you go. Thank you. Your information has been entered into the database. You may close the window. Now if we go back to our table and we just refresh it, there you go. And I realize some people will say, well, it didn't work, so yours didn't work because your name was already in there. So just to crush those, there's nothing in my database anymore. So let's go back, hit submit. There you go. It's been entered in. We'll refresh the database. There's the information. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you would, just like and subscribe. I'll be posting out some more PHP and MySQL videos later. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks.